So we have a new poll out on impeachment to share with everybody. A majority of polled voters oppose impeaching and removing President Trump, but a strong majority of Democrats are in favor of doing so, according to the latest Harvard-Harris poll survey. The survey found that a plurality of voters, 43%, favor no action against the president, including 44% of independents. 37% support impeaching and removing the president. 60% of polled Democrats say the president should be impeached and removed, but only 36% of independents are in favor. 20% of voters say Trump should be censured by Congress. The new poll, which was conducted after special counsel Robert Mueller's statements on Wednesday, has several other warning signs for Democrats agitating to begin impeachment proceedings against Trump. 68% of respondents said Democrats in Congress should accept Mueller's findings that there was no criminal conspiracy, and 65% said Democrats should accept Attorney General Bill Barr's conclusions that the president did not obstruct justice. They continue and say 63% of respondents said the investigations into Trump are hurting the country, while 58% said it's time for Congress to turn the page on the Russia investigations. So, I even have slight disagreements at the end there where they say 58% say, 63% say the Trump investigations are hurting the country. Well, no, some of the things you have to investigate. Like, you have to investigate on emoluments. That's not a question. You should investigate and have to investigate on corruption and financial crimes, which the Southern District of New York is doing. I don't know if that's what people had in mind when they were asked this poll question, but that's absolutely necessary, and I think that will ultimately be Trump's downfall. Not the Mueller report, but the Southern District of New York investigation, where they're definitely going to find pretty clear financial crimes. So I don't agree with 63% of Americans when they say the investigations are hurting the country. But I do agree with the 58% who say it's time to turn the page on the Russia investigations. I think you can make a case on principle for obstruction. However, I think that as I've, went into detail in a different impeachment segment, I think ultimately that would help Donald Trump in a way that would make it more likely that he gets reelected. Whereas if you don't go down that path, then it's more likely Democrats get reelected. Now, I know some people say, hey, political calculation shouldn't be involved in this, but impeachment is inherently a political process. It is not, a criminal justice proceeding. It's a political process. So you probably should weigh that rather heavily, especially knowing for sure it's going to die in the Senate. But there you have it. I think that this largely vindicates the position that I was expressing. When you have a majority of Americans who are saying impeaching is not a good idea. And honestly, I was even a little bit surprised by the fact that even among Democrats, it's 60% who are in favor of impeachment. But I think that's low. When you polled just Democrats, I actually think that's low. I would have guessed it was closer to like 70%. But there you have it. So that's why it is a little bit of a conundrum for Democratic leadership, is because I think Democratic leadership is aware, hey, this is going to go nowhere, and then is likely going to help Trump. I think they're aware of that fact, but they have, a sense of the fact that it's a majority of the base, the Democratic base, that wants impeachment. So they're caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't know why I stumbled over that. Because it's like, okay, do we just try to appease the majority of the base by doing this? Or do we slam on the brakes and say, hey, listen, this ain't going anywhere and it's going to help the president, so I don't care what you're for. Sit down and shut up. Which, of course, that won't go over well politically either. So, yeah, it's actually a rare instance where I'm a little sympathetic to the direction that Democrats in D.C. are going. It's like, what do you do? What do you do in this situation? But there are the poll numbers, and you can make of them what you will.